Hey everyone, Chris Mack coming at you today with the Hasbro Transformers Power of the Primes Leader Class Optimus Prime action figure. And this thing is so flipping amazing just looking at him in its packaging. If you want to pick this bad boy up, as I always say, first and foremost, support your local comic shop or wherever it is like to get your action figures and comics and grab the leader of the Autobots. If not, at the time of this recording, the only place that I see that it is available is Big Bad Toy Store, so go get you some. We see Optimus here, we see the awesome Matrix there, Transformers, Transformer Generations logo there, Power of the Primes, come around to this side, and it shows all these Power of the Primes. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm not 100% sure what all these logos mean, so if you could fill me in down in the comments, I would very much appreciate it. Come around to the back, and it shows you all the cool things that you can do with this figure. There is a read-up, I'll get a close-up so you can check it out at your convenience. And I love this, as you can see, it goes from Optimus Prime to Orion Pack. So in a sense, it is a triple changer, and I love it. And apparently there's all the different ways of what the Matrix is supposed to do. Again, fill me in, because when it goes past the G1 and the Marvel Comics, I'm very much ignorant when it comes to Transformers, so I'd appreciate it very much. Come around to the side. Love that they use Orion Packs here. Very cool. That Power of the Primes logo is super fantastic. Nothing really on the top except says choose your prime. That's pretty awesome. Nothing on the bottom. So with all of that gushing, is this action figure awesome or not? Let's roll out and find out. The backstory on Optimus Prime. Hasbro developed the Transformers after the company's representatives visited the 1983 Tokyo Toy Show. The characters were modified from Takara's Diaclone and Micro-Change toy lines and rebranded for the Western markets. Marvel was originally hired to do the 4-issue miniseries to promote the toy line, and instead of stopping at issue 4, the series ran for 80 issues with several crossovers and spin-offs. The first appearance of Optimus Prime was Transformers #1 from September of 1984. The Autobot leader, along with all the G1 Transformers and their mythos, were developed and fleshed out by Jim Shooter and Bob Budiansky. The origin story, according to Marvel, was the mechanical world of Cybertron inhabited by gigantic transforming robots. There was a fierce civil war that raged between the heroic Autobots, led by Optimus, and Megatron, leading the evil Decepticons. Cybertron's orbit is disrupted by centuries of war. The Autobots eventually detect an asteroid belt that threatens to destroy their home. The Autobots build a spacecraft called the Ark to clear the asteroids, but the Decepticons learn of the plan and attack the ship. With no other choice, Optimus crashes the Ark on a nearby planet and into a volcano, knocking all aboard offline. 4 million years later, the volcano that is on Earth erupts and reactivates the Ark's computer. The ship's repair systems mistake Earth's vehicles as the planet's dominant life forms and rebuilds the Autobots and Decepticons in the Earth-based bodies. Optimus Prime will always be remembered and known for being voiced by the legendary Peter Cullen, and the original Marvel Comics and G1 cartoons spawned the Transformers mythology for future generations. The Netflix show, The Toys Who Made Us, did an excellent episode on the Transformers. In it, Larry Hama said, in the old days at Marvel, if you worked on a toy book, you were considered a loser. And I thought that was interesting when I watched it, but Budiansky at TransformerCon pointed out that that was not the case, and was in fact just Hama's opinion. Another thing that I wanted to add comes in thanks to our fellow community member, Supertron. Back in the day, Marvel originally wanted to integrate all their IP characters they purchased the rights to, or were licensed to them, into the mainstream Marvel universe. The Transformers were kind of Marvel's last attempt to do that. That's why when you read the early issues, the Dinobots and Shockwave spawned out of the Savage Lands, as well as Dazzler being the big thing for teenagers to listen to on the radio. Also, in Transformers #3, our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man teams up with the Autobots. And I bring this up because Spidey was in the black uniform from Warworld, and it was not yet established to be an alien symbiote. So, this crossover occurs after the events of Secret Wars #8, but not before Amazing Spider-Man 258. This is important to note because Amazing Spider-Man 258 was published in July, whereas Transformers #3 will be published until November. Technically, Spider-Man is wearing the Venom symbiote, but the story was written when it was still just alien technology that gave Peter a new suit. Now, the last little bit of mythos that was kind of interesting that Supertron brought up was the fact that Orion Pax, which was supposed to be Optimus before he became a Prime, was exclusive to the cartoon. It was in season 2, the episode called War Dawn, which first aired in December of 1985. This episode established that Optimus was originally a peaceful worker robot named Orion Pax, who originally wanted to stay out of the war until Megatron and the Decepticons raided the factory he was working in and mortally wounded him. And it was at this point Alpha Trion rebuilt Orion Pax as Optimus Prime, and this is the first generation of battle-ready Autobots. And allegedly, Orion Pax's character was designed originally for Ultra Magnus, but then Hasbro decided to make the powered convoy toy line that they were importing Ultra Magnus instead. So, just a lot of information on how we got the mythos of the Transformers that we got. And as I always say, the more you know. So with that said, there's some Transformers history for you. Now let's talk about the accessories. I love that they made sure with this version to give Optimus this huge blaster gun. I wish, since they put a hole in it, that they would have given him some sort of blast effect, since this is supposed to be like an ultimate figure. But at least you can take it apart and put both guns in his hand, which is really cool. So I can't whine too much, but it would have been cool if they came with 2 blaster effects, since we get dual wielding Optimus Prime, which is really freaking awesome. So I wish that Hasbro would have thought of that, but it is what it is. So at least it breaks apart, and when he's in his truck mode, which we will get to in a moment, at least you can also attach him to the truck. The next thing that he does come with is, of course, the Matrix of Leadership. Now, since this is supposed to be the power of the Primes, and from what I understand, the cards, which we'll talk about in a second, is like part of the there's like a card game or something like that. If you guys could fill me in more down in the comments, I'd appreciate it, because I've seen it, but it just doesn't click all in my mind. But apparently different power of the Prime figures come with different matrices, so you can pop this out. And then different characters come with different matrices that you can pop in there, so I'm glad that that's there. One thing, I wish this thing that was a little more, this thing is such a pain in the ass to put back in, that I wish that they would have done is made this a little more luminance. Like there's a clear in the back, so it kind of shines up, but I wish they would have come in like Cup's eyes and put some little hole here on the top to make that more bright, but still nonetheless, beautiful piece to include, and it does fit into his chest, and we'll adjust that here shortly. Now, as I was just talking about, he does come with the power of the Prime cards, which I will make sure to give you close-ups on so you can check out the fronts and the backs. And this is apparently a card game. I had no idea about that, so if you guys could fill me in more on the card game. And apparently this card game also is supposed to like add to the Transformers mythos. So very cool to include that. And that's essentially all the, the accessories that Optimus does come with. Now he is a triple changer. So in addition to these cool accessories that we get, we also get 3 formations, which is, as we see this badass Optimus version, we do get the Orion Pax version, and then of course his truck mode. The one thing though, looking at the sculpt, it's absolutely gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. This thing is a beautiful piece. I mean, look at this. So we put him up against, say, Hot Rod that we went over. Look at this. This is a big Optimus Prime. And that's how I feel a Prime should be, being the leader, and the rest of the Autobots like Bumblebee and being a little bit smaller. But what really kills me about Optimus is the fact that, of course, in the show he has the blue hands. These hands do not articulate, neither do the Orion Pax hands. They are permanently affixed like this, and that kills me. I wish instead that they would have painted the hands blue like the cartoon, and I wish that they would have done kind of what they did with Hot Rod, where I can actually get him to stand up without knocking things over. They actually made his hand articulate at least a little bit, so when you're trying to put his blaster in his hand, there goes Optimus. You can take it, and it's already molded for the blaster, so you put it in there, and then you just close it down around his gun, and that just gives you a little bit more security, and it just helps when you're trying to do photography. So the fact that this is supposed to be a deluxe figure, and for both versions we get closed hands, that's probably the one thing that irks my gurk. But leaving that alone, and just looking at this gorgeous figure, I will let it go. The only other thing that's kind of frustrating, both in his Orion Pax mode and his robot mode, is the legs are very loose. And I don't understand why this is supposed to be a more expensive figure, why we get the more loosey-goosey joints. And the ones here for Orion Pax are worse. And I'll show you that here in a minute, but oh my goodness. But anyway, talking about the Matrix of Leadership. So the Orion Pax is essentially stuffed up here. Like this whole body here becomes the, what do you call it? The trailer. But if you open it up here, I hate that once you open it, there's another truck inside because the Orion Pax becomes the front part of the truck. So when you open that, you have to, again, open this to finally get the reveal. And if you take the Matrix of Leadership, so after futzing with it a little bit, you get the idea that you get the Matrix of Leadership in there, and it does have a tendency to pop out. So it's kind of frustrating, but so even though you have these double layers of doors to open, once you get it in there, and you want to do like an up-close shot or whatever, if you want to display them, at least you get that cool concept. I just hate that we get the double doors because of the transformation, logistics of the figure. But nonetheless, at least you get that in there and you don't have to worry about putting it somewhere else. I really do appreciate that about this figure. On the Optimus version, I do like these designs on the window. That just gives it that very much that Cybertronian feel. Head looks exactly as our Optimus is supposed to look. Very gorgeous. Love the Autobot decals on the arms. The pipes here just look great. The backpack's a little off-putting, but of course, they have to think about how they can fold all this up into the figure, so you got to kind of forgive them for that. I love all the stickers, just gorgeous little pieces like that just make this thing overall an absolutely gorgeous rendition of Optimus Prime. And I love that they use the traditional colors from both the cartoon and the movie. Got the blue legs, and you got that very much old school 80s feel of the decals. Just a gorgeous piece all around. And then I love under the arms where you see where the trailer is going to go, you get, of course, the Autobot logo there. Gorgeous stuff all around. I love this version, and I'm always reluctant to want to transform it because this is just gorgeous in and of itself. Now, when I first picked this figure up, I was reluctant about the transformation. I'm like, oh god, this is going to be a beast. But I'm glad that with these newer versions that we're getting, they're not as complicated as the Michael Bay Studio Series versions. Ugh. That's one reason why I'm kind of reluctant to transform those figures because, yeah, anyway. So this one we're going to kind of do in phases. We're going to start out with going to Orion Pax. So with this one, the whole body just kind of comes undone. So back here on his tuchus, there's a button you push down. And whoop, ta-da! We'll put the body up to the side. And we get a folded up Optimus. Now, to get to Orion Pax, you come around here to the back, and his feet are folded up. They are tucked in, they're tabbed into his back here, so you just detach them there, like so. And you can already see that we're kind of getting an Orion Pax look there. Bring around the legs. I wish I could do that sound effect with my mouth. That'd be so cool. Then you untuck the feet. Here, open the chest. There's his head. Tuck Optimus in. Pull him out. Close that up. There's the Orion Pax head. Now, the arms. Just kind of like so. And then just kind of match up where the hands need to be. So, unfold the hands. That is upside down. And there is essentially Orion Pax. It looks funny for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate that they threw this in. I mean, like I said, the Orion Pax character was specific to the cartoon, but I'm glad that the action figure threw it in anyway, because we didn't get an Orion Pax in the original Marvel comics. I'm not sure about IDW and all that stuff. If you guys know, let me know. Now, with the Orion Pax, the one thing that I dislike the most, and I don't know, if you guys know how to tighten this up, let me know, but I mean, look at this. Loose ass legs. I don't know if that's just me, but man, that is some Thankfully, though, as you can see, you kind of slam him down, he at least kind of stands okay. So not too bad. Now in the back, you still got Optimus's windows here. I was watching Autobots, and he wasn't too fond of this, so he kind of said, you can do cool stuff, so you can untuck the legs here and do something along those lines, or, it's your figure, do what you want, or if you want to kind of give him more folded out wings. Let's see, there's where the Matrix sits. So however you want to do the back, that is up to you. And the face sculpt is pretty cool, don't get me wrong. The one thing that I kind of wish that they would do is I wish, sort of like when I haven't seen Transformers 1 yet, I'm itching to see it, but I remember from the trailers, you could actually see like details of like robotic lines in the eyes. Same with the Michael Bay movies. I wish that they would have done something here instead of just giving it that regular blue look, but that silver sheen looks great. His chest looks awesome. Yellows, reds. It looks very much like something you'd see from the 80s, just kind of upgraded a little bit. I kind of wish that the hands were more articulated, but knees, not bad. And you don't get much of a hip joint, it's all on the legs. So yeah, if you guys know how to fix that, let me know. You can kick up that much, bring his arms out that much. Head has a decent range. So not too bad overall. I can't complain too much about how Orion Pax looks. It looks cool, and I'm glad that it was added to the edition here. Now, going into vehicle mode from Orion Pax isn't too complicated, mercifully. Like I said, I'm glad that these are a little bit easier. So, start by the legs, tuck the feeties in, spin it till the wheels look outward like that. Same on this side. And then I like to kind of just start by locking the feet together just so that while I'm twisting everything else, nothing else pops out. So let's get that attached. Click. All right. Next best thing to do here would be to open this. Now there are some pegs down here you can click right into. Right into the chest so that everything stays nice and locked. Now, one thing about the, the instructions that come from Hasbro themselves that I could not understand, and I had to watch Optimus, was I couldn't figure out how to connect the stupid trailer. So when you bring the head down, see this little nub here? Just put that down between the legs like that, because that's where the trailer hitch is going to go. When I was doing the instructions, it was not very clear, and I was like, I don't know what's going on here. Now, the next thing, the arms can be a little tricky, so fold them back in like so. And it's just sort of a play of a game. So I'm going to bring this out, see how this hinges out. So you take the arm, hinge it out. Something like that. So you see how I have the hands down? And then you want to kind of bring the hand outward, because you want everything to sort of fold in like so, I believe. I could be wrong. It takes me a minute, I forget. All right, so the hands, what you want to ultimately do, you kind of want to get it the outside shoulder like this, and then this is going to kind of be like that. You want to fold it in like so. Now, another thing that Optimus brought up that is really cool is you see these little pegs right here. They're kind of transparent. There's a slit right here in the hand. So if you work this in and tuck it down, and you just kind of work the tuck in, those hands lock right down into it. So it just gives it a little more of a look instead of them just looking up and looking weird. So same thing on this side, pull that around, fold the arms out, take this, slot it into that, and just take your time. I know that sometimes you get frustrated, but don't moose it because you don't want to break it. Just got to have the patience of a Jedi. All right, now that all of this is all locked, make sure you give everything a nice squeeze, make sure nothing's come unstuck. This looks a little funky to me. I wish that they would have maybe added something. I don't know, like some pipes, kind of like how it was on his shoulder, because when you're in the Trek mode, those semi-pipes are nowhere to be seen on the transformation. So it's like, hello. So that just would have been a nice little addition. Nonetheless, now we're almost there. So these, after you've pulled it this way, hinge it out, bring that down like so. Now this is going to hinge inward, and everything locks into place like so. Same on this side. Bring that down. Back. Hinge in. And make sure everything's lined up. There's little pins in here that the wheels will line up with. Again, give everything kind of a decent sized squeeze. And there is the truck mode. See how the back just looks sort of weird. I mean, I wish this looked more semi-y in the back, like actual pipes in a cab, but again, being a triple changer, certain things suffer, so I get that. But at least for what we got, I'm happy. I mean, look at that. That looks so flipping cool. And then, like I said, with this version, you can open it up, and you can leave the matrix in there. It's your preference, whatever you want to do. I just leave it in there because I don't want to lose it. Good storage. And it rolls. Like there's some, like again, those Studio Series ones, oh my god, after you transform them, it's like pulling teeth trying to get the transformation to do what you want it to do. So at least with these, I mean, look at that. So even though it looks kind of funky from the back, at least from the front, it looks like Optimus is coming to kick some Decepticon ass for sure. Now the body becomes the trailer, and I'm glad that this is relatively simple. I mean, you look at it and you're like, how is this going to work? But thankfully, if you do it in a way, it at least gives you guides. So let's put it this way. We'll start with the legs. That's kind of the easiest. So just kind of get the arms out of the way. Just lift them up like so. Come down to the feet. And then you just simply get a focus for you guys. Because all the way up like that. Simple. Come around to the back. And the legs here on the inside, you just kind of pull back. Comes undone, and just sort of follow the path. Open everything up as you go. And just leave it just about so in the front. And do that to the other side. So just kind of pull back ever so slightly without popping this off, because that's a pain in the butt to get back on. Start opening everything as you go. And, ha-ha. Now, the legs. 2 pegs here between his legs, you just snap those together, which keeps everything nice and straight. Feet are folded in, so that's going to be the back of the trailer. This peg here is going to go into this, so just make sure as you line it up and just kind of be gentle with it until you fill it. Click. You can go ahead and bring that out as well, but we're not going to close it all the way yet. And of course, that came unpopped. I know these could be a pain in the ass, but you just got to be patient with them. That's the whole part of the fun, is just figuring it out. Making sure all the clicks click. So as we can see, we're already starting to get a trailer. Now, the whole trickiest part of this thing is don't leave his legs straight. That's going to screw you to high heaven. You kind of want to bring his legs up. What's it popped on me? This is what I mean. I was having this. You got to kind of herpy-derp it up into a 45-degree angle. So, like that. And then, of course, everything's going to pop out of place. Make sure everything's locking. Okay. So as you can see, we're starting to get the trailer look already. Now for the arms, this is what I mean by missed opportunity. So I'm glad on the figure we see the truck pipes, but these fold into here. And yeah, I'll show you. So this is the front. I'm going to come around, and what you want to do is you want these to be on the top of the truck, because that's what this is the top. So I'm going to bring that out. These are little shoulder pads here on the top, like so. And you just gotta have to kind of work with it. See how I kind of have where the pipes are here in the back? Now watch, this is what I mean. When you try to fold it in, there's no way to use that pipe for the top of the truck. That would have looked great and more TV and comic accurate, but of course not. So before you do that, you got to tuck those pipes in. Now, as you're folding everything in, see how the Autobot logo is here on the top? These I would recommend unhinging first, because these are going to go down on the side. So essentially, as you go in, you want the Autobot logo on the top, and then you kind of want the hand in a facing down position, like so, over the front of the body. That's the best that I can explain it, because see how everything's starting to take effect here. So see, 45-degree angle. Yeah, I know it's frustrating, but it is what it is, my friends. So do the same thing here on the other side of the body. Fold that down, come back around to the front. Essentially, it's sort of a Rubik's Cube getting the hands to do the right thing, because you're thinking, okay, that looks right. No, that don't look right. Because the hand's facing up, so you're like, damn. Got to play with it. That's why you bring those out, so that the hand can go l'action. And then you want to untab that, just bring it up. Because then as you start to fold everything in, you can kind of start to see where the hand is supposed to properly lie, as it were. So we're almost there, my friends. Kind of make sure things are kind of starting to lay right, because I know it can get frustrating. You just want to make sure that things are starting to line up as you're bringing everything in. At this point, I would tuck these in. So these were folded in, you can fold them out. They close over the hands, and then lock into place, which gives you that extra little bit of oomph on top of the lock that's in here. Those lock into place, which helps keep those feet from acting like turds. So you can see why you need the body at a 45-degree angle. See how everything starts to line up this way. So at this point, just kind of make sure that everything's sort of twisted right. This top piece is going to lock into here. And it just takes some patience. You may have to kind of move things around. Do some squeezing, but it will go. And then this little door here locks into there. Again, you may have to monkey around and things are going to pop out, of course. So that's one side. Close that. Do some finagling. You may have to kind of pull that out to get that underneath so that it tabs right. Take that, do some twisting, and see how that pops out. Drive you nuts. Let's open that. Okay. Okay, and then, where are you going to go? No, you can make me look silly. There you go. Whew. Just kind of getting those. It's just a whole matter of lining up, but you can kind of see at the top why you want it at the 45-degree angle. So it looks more like a realistic trailer in a sense. Now, the one thing that the instructions were not clear on that this figure comes with, so this little blue part, which is the top of the body, where the whole Orion Pax Optimus sits, kind of just stick your finger in there and that is the peg for the trailer. Now, let's get the truck. This is why I said it's so important to make sure that when you get the transformation done on the Orion Pax head that you have this little loop down, because that's where it sits. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen and friends of mine. We have a truck mode, and it rolls really good together. I was surprised. So, gonna jackknife. Hit the Jake brake. I have a 5-year-old, so he loves trucks. So this is one of his favorites, even though he can't play with it yet. I got him his own Optimus for Christmas. But this piece, for us collectors, Hell yeah. Like I saw the studio version that they were just released that looks more like the movie version with the explosions on Optimus's feet where, he and does a transformation midair. That one's cool. But as we saw with the size of this one, that Optimus is super small, like, who do I have right off the top of my head? It's small like Perceptor, and Optimus, as we see, is a beast. So this one, for me, much more desirable, because the leaders, at least you want to have them large and not the same size as his troops. So I'm glad that he is a taller version. And I love the sheen. This just looks like the old school trailer to a degree. I love that they use all the old school sheen, decals. Looks great. My only beef is I wish that there was a way you could open this and load littler Autobots, like let's say when Cup's in his mode. Then kind of need to be able to load him, but I'm sure that because of budget and whatnot, that probably would have not been possible. And what's kind of cool is if you take his blaster, and if you take it apart like so, you got yourself two pigs up there. So you can either do that, which is kind of cool, or you could take this piece, which is the hand part, get the peg, because when you try to set it down by itself, see how it leans forward, and you're like, that sucks. I'll tell you last. And you plug it in, and kind of just set it back just a little ways. Oop, it didn't work because I'm trying to do this on camera. Works any other time. All right, maybe I need to go, yeah. And it sits like that, so that's cool. The last little neat bit is take that, reconnect the gun. You see these two pegs here? You ever so slightly undo everything, which I know. There's these two kind of pegs in the gun here. So kind of work it in, work it in, work it in. Make sure the pegs are in there. And oh yeah, baby. Got yourself a big ass blaster. So bring that back out, lock up the truck. Now if you want to display him in his robot mode, guys, that's going to look flippin' delicious. I mean, look at that. Who would not want to put an armed Optimus in his, vehicle mode like so? That is just awesome. Awesome. So if you can get over how the back of the truck looks, it's still a beautiful piece, y'all. The price, I get it. But to me, this is a more accurate rendition of Optimus Prime. And I'm super picky. So when I saw this one, I had to have it. And it just gives off so much of the OG G1 action figure vibes from what I remember in the toy store when I was a kid. So I can't complain. I am one happy little camper with this piece. Yeah, I kind of wish that certain parts, like I wish this looked more like a truck there. And I wish that you could open the feet to load stuff, sure. But for what we get with that, being able to do it with the blaster and the Matrix of Leadership, I mean, come on, what more could you ask for in what we get for this? That is flipping awesome, other than maybe some tight joints. But I'll let that go because I love the way that this piece looks. So here's Optimus next to some awesome Decepticons and Autobots. These are ones that we've gone over. This was the Target exclusive Doombot Shockwave from the Bumblebee movie. This was the 86 movie Hot Rod, and then the 86 Starscream, the 86 Perceptor, and the 86 Cup. And every single one of these Transformers that we've gone over thus far have been absolutely amazing. And this size, I mean, look at the way that Shockwave here matches up to the size of Optimus Prime. That's the size that I really like my Transformers. However, I wish they would have put Starscream a little bit bigger, but because he's the underling to, what's his name? Megatron, I lost that for a second. It makes sense that he's a little bit smaller. Same thing here where Cup, Perceptor, and Hot Rod would be a little bit smaller than Optimus Prime because he is the leader of the Autobots. It just scales up so well. So for those of you that like to pose your action figures on a shelf, this scaling is going to look absolutely fantastic. And for those of you that are going to do action figure photography, it's just going to be one of those things where you're just going to get lost in a deep pit of photos, for lack of a better term. all these figures are absolutely amazing, in my personal opinion. What do you guys plan to do with your Transformers? Are you going to do action figure photography, still motion of the transformation? Are you just going to pose them on your shelf? Let us know. We'd love to see photos and videos over on our social media pages. This Power of the Prime's Optimus Prime is absolutely exquisite. Yes, there are a couple of things that chat my hide, the loose legs on both Orion and Optimus, and the fact that his hands are permanently sealed like this instead of having his blue opposable digits. That would have been a nice little include, especially when what we went over with, who was it, Rodimus, where he was able to at least open his hands like this so you can get more, what's the word, bang for your buck, I guess is the best word to put, so you can have them open and close, but these sealed hands are frustrating. But I'll let it pass because I've wanted a large Optimus Prime, and this one encompasses everything that I love about the character. And I love that it's essentially a triple changer, as we talked about. Orion Pax, Optimus, and of course the Semi with the trailer. And the transformation's not too hard. You just have to have patience. So with all that, I can't damn the figure. I really am glad that I picked this up, and I love the scale of it. If you guys have enjoyed what you've seen with this piece, as I always say, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is like to get your action figures and comics, and grab this figure. If not, you can grab it at the places we talked about at the beginning of the review. Speaking of, if you did enjoy this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little matrix of the leadership bell next subscribe, that way as I get to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts in the community that we are building together. And I'll make sure to also leave the social links down in the description so you can hit us up there as well. So with all that said, hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone. Photo slideshow coming up next.